This issue of Fashion Classics focuses on France for fall 2001.
For this season is like really like Belle du Jour, like very French woman.
Take a front row seat at Balmain with the original Belle du Jour.
I like the fantasy, you know, he puts in everything.
American in Paris Michael Kors puts a fitting French accent on his designs for Celine.
It's a moment. We wanted Gigi, and we got it.
Rendezvous with super hot French model turned actress Laetitia Casta. What's in the bag for Balmain assistant Olympia Le-Tan?
I love the bags she's doing. They are so successful already. They are all over the places in Paris.
Plus, Marc Jacobs revives the 80s at Louis Vuitton. Fall 2001 marked the 5th season of Michael Kors at the helm of Celine. Days before the show, an animated Kors watched his designs develop.
It all comes together for me. When I see it on the woman, the whole thing comes to life.
Oh my God. It's a moment. We wanted Gigi, and we got it.
There's something so charming here in Paris to me when I see either older women or really young schoolgirls. They are the most French, and I wanted to kind of capture that spirit in the collection.
Audrey, I'm going to give you a second bag. Same hand. Okay, now go through and grab it like that. Exactly. Can you walk? We're going to go from the smallest foot to Frankie's going to get here. Frankie has like a man's basketball player size foot.
I don't know that side of modeling, the whole like taking the shoe thing. I never get to do that.
Frankie never steals her shoes because they never fit her big old foot. I think Norbert's going to like the fact that I don't think he has to do anything to this. Just a simple girl from Wisconsin with a dream.
He just gives everyone this feeling of like, oh, just have fun and you're gorgeous and, you know, we just laugh.
Can we make a note that she needs to wear a nude thong? Yeah. This is totally like woman in Milan who's having an affair.
I think women should learn how to flirt again.
And flirty was the spirit backstage at Celine. Pretty makeup and soft hair underscored his look.
This show is about a modern gamine, so a young woman who's maybe not using so much makeup, and she's got this kind of flush in her skin, a little coppery tone around the eyes and black mascara. So she's pulled together, but she's not completely powdered and flawless.
We're doing a low ponytail with a bit of volume in the back. It's mostly about the texture, which is sort of made to look like if the girl has naturally wavy hair and very French.
With homage to Gigi and today's Chloé Sevigny, Kors gave Celine what he called a blend of Parisian chic and Yankee practicality.
It's all about really sort of that idea that you can blend kind of all the glamorous things that you think of when you think of Paris. Beading, feathers, fur, trim, shine, with that American practicality. I think that whole idea that you can be sophisticated and coy at the same time is really appealing to me. Celine is a house that really has a heritage. I think some houses are trying to invent a heritage that never existed. But we have an amazing sort of heritage, particularly for French people. Everyone I know who's French says, oh, I remember when I was little, my mom had this or whatever. And you know, it's fun to sort of utilize that and look at it. To me, it's totally fresh. We're using a lot of fabulous chain on shoes and belts and bags that actually was first put into Celine in the 50s. It's based on the chain around the Arc de Triomphe, which what could be more French? And I like playing with it in an irreverent way.
I'm very proud, and I love to come to Paris with Michael because it is such a dream come true. It has been very exciting, and he works so hard. The only way that he can do that is because he loves it so much. I think if he didn't love it, He couldn't do it.
The next step, really honestly, for me is when I see women on the street wearing the clothes. Nothing turns me on more than that.
Because I think life is already so difficult that I think it's fun to change.
After several seasons of re-energizing the House of Balmain, Gilles Dufour hit his mark with a lively look.
Here you have a jacket which become orchids.
Beautiful.
You know, this was inspired by Madame Karinska. And here you have a sweater which becomes nails. T-shirts with tag for Catherine Deneuve, who is my friend, and she's coming today.
I haven't seen anything yet, no. It's going to be a real surprise.
Underscoring the new millennium's theme that more is more, Dufour's collection was full of uncompromising color and texture.
The woman is going to wear, she's going to be very free, she's going to travel, she's going to have fun. She's going to enjoy wearing the clothes because they are all kind of new fabrics, new texture mixed unexpectedly, like satin mixed with tweed, tweed mixed with leather, velvet mixed with all kind of assortment. She's going to enjoy working, having fun. It's a very lively collection. The fabrics are satin, and I did a lot of embroideries, new embroideries. Burgundy mixed with pink, olive green mixed with purple or deep burgundy, you know. It's a more constructed collection in the way that it is more wearable clothes. You have real looks like jackets, pants, skirts, suits. You can find a lot if you want to buy in the Balmain house this season.
It's always very inventive and it's very colorful, it's very joyful. I like the fantasy, you know, he puts in everything.
Fashion with panache, famous landmarks, and a hearty baguette are all indelible French images. And for the French, forget the Atkins diet. They want their bread. And luckily, Parisian baker Gerard Saint-Ouen crafts creative carbohydrates.
Since 1955, I've been a baker, because simply I love to do something new and different. Then my neighbors started copying, but I'm already ahead of them, on to something different, to be ahead of the pack. I love creating something new. All my life I've created. I'm the first in my family to do this, but not the last.
Even though he makes hundreds of baguettes each day, the award-winning baker remains true to his craft.
To make good bread, you have to use your head and hands. Machines could not make bread good because machines do not know how to make good bread. You have to make it in small quantities.
Designing in dough, René Girard takes inspiration from the runways. Saint-Ouen is also a fan of famous Parisian monuments.
The Eiffel Tower now has lights on it, so now I do this lace work so the bread can look like it.
René Girard enjoys the joie de vivre his profession affords him.
I can have my wife with me. I'm not alone. It is a profession where you can work together. It is not tiring, it keeps me busy, and it keeps me healthy.
I think this time for me, Vuitton was right on the money.
Right on the franc, Marc Jacobs moved Louis Vuitton back to the 80s and in doing so inspired a look that was all Parisian glam.
It's very French, yes. When we first of all looked at all the clothes, We saw the beret, very beatnik, and it's just kind of obvious to go with black. So instead we decided, let's try with brown, because then it will give much more of a sensual look, a lot more softer.
In a way, what we've done is quite 80s with hair, except it's not big. We've given them like really manly gentlemen's partings and dragged hair along their faces, so it's very severe and very clean.
Jacobs played up the Reagan 80s with sharp-shouldered suiting and lush flash dance knits.
There were bits and touches, again, from our memory of that period in the 80s when it was the beginning of Azzedine and Gaultier and Terry Mugler and Montana.
Marc Jacobs really played very well with the 80s vibe. It was not at all heavy-handed, it was very sophisticated.
Vuitton Marc Jacobs was 80s in a new way, though. I thought he did a very good job.
The color palette remained classic Vuitton, with neutral beige and black being predominant, but spiked with peppermint, teal, and chocolate.
There were a lot of evening fabrics mixed with day fabrics, you know, tweeds lined with lamé so that they weren't rustic or country-ish at all. And then things like leather and printed leather with satin, very classic sort of French gab with leather trim or satin trim.
Jacobs accented detailing, such as the decorative silver hardware and zippers situated diagonally across oversized jackets and coats.
Some really nice new proportions, particularly in kind of the low hip belted jackets. Very sophisticated and I think absolutely right for the Vuitton customer.
The famous caramel and brown découpé print resurfaced in a new way.
We just cut it all up, made it into paillettes and just sprinkled it all over bags and dresses. So it became almost like a tortoiseshell and a texture as opposed to a pattern. So we just destroyed it.
From her envious perch at the house of Balmain as Gilles Defort's assistant, Olympia Le-Tan made up a small group of young women who acted as a what's cool litmus test for the designer.
She's my little assistant. I love Olympia. She's a very sweet girl and she has been designing the t-shirt actually with me.
It's my boyfriend who actually did them because he's a graffiti artist. He made one for me for Valentine's Day with love written all over it. And I wore it to work, and she said, well, why don't we do a bit of those for the collection?
The creative Le-Tan also moonlights as a bag designer. The charming totes, which she started before her obligations began at Balmain, have quickly become a Parisian must-have.
Basically, I was just in between jobs and I was bored.
I'd never learned how to sew really or make clothes and things like that, but I've always liked doing things with my hands.
So I thought I'll try and make something, and the bag was the easiest. So I made one and I wore it, and people told me, oh, where did you get that? And they ended up saying you should sell them.
As I'm at Balmain all the time, I don't really have time to find people for the production, and I still am making them myself. And sometimes I have beading parties, and I don't want to lose the handmade feeling, and I don't want to lose the control either. I draw different motifs and think what would look nice. And the first one I started was the one with the little dolls, this one. This is the felt applique. I did one like this, which is hell. This is the last one, latest one, with little underwear. This is one I did for my little sister, this little shaped children. I tried a few different shapes at the beginning and I thought this one's quite handy. So. It looks quite small, but you can put your big wallet, makeup case, agenda, keys, phone, you can put everything in here. You can even put a spare pair of shoes.
I love the bags she's doing. They are so successful already. They are all over the places in Paris.
I've got big orders, but I can't. I'm having a bit of trouble with my deliveries. In Japan, apparently, they have waiting lists.
I think every woman wants to look glamorous. Every woman wants to look beautiful and will want to look beautiful, even in the 21st century.
The fall 2001 season at Dior was no exception. Galliano's luxe leverage buyout meant an 80s opulence of gold, prints, and fur.
He definitely followed the kind of 80s super sexy theme with huge fur coats, a lot of croc, a lot of satin shirts, opened all the way down with tons of gold chains, tons of diamonds, very camp, very sexy, expensive clothes, but fun clothes. There's a lot of wit in this collection.
Christian Dior, I thought, opened with a really strong collection of real clothes for the woman that's going to wear it, and also the whole kind of Mary J. Blige crowd that is starting to wear his kind of stuff.
We saw beautiful bias cut dresses, and it was very well done. I thought so well executed.
The ostrich coats and furs was a real luxury, and I think that John has done a great job bringing attention to a house that for a long time hadn't brought a new clientele in. I thought he did a great job.
Well, I think John Galliano is obviously a genius. He has a wonderful, inspirational mind, and sometimes that inspiration he gets a little bit carried away with.
A group of clothing that was reflective of all that he went through after he showed his couture. He got so much press by showing his couture collection based on the hobo that he did dresses out of newspapers to be reflective of all the kind of bad press that he got.
It was a wonderful theatrical event, which was quite a fun and a highlight for entertainment in Fashion Week.
When you're rethinking a house, you need to go back to its very origins, to the spirit, the philosophy of it.
Built on a foundation of traditional French tailoring, the house of Nina Ricci is being revived by designer Nathalie Gervais, who is giving an edge to the classics.
The culture for makeup in France, it's more about be kind of Nina Ricci, you know, very elegant but discreet. There is nothing obvious over made up, and it's more, I think, that the French woman.
Flawless, subtle makeup worked well with the pared-down silhouettes.
In thinking this collection, I wanted to capture the spirit of the house and yet bring it to the most modern context, so urban, both efficient and poetic. What I wanted to do is to mix both extreme lightness and this feeling of freedom and yet self-assurance that you have when you have to have that when you wear mousseline. Silk chiffon and cuir satin, which is a very, very sturdy satin, which was traditionally used in haute couture, but I use in a very modern way. I'm using also the finest cashmere for knitwear, and yet quite, a very honest tweed, but in a very urban way to do them. It's easier to express yourself when you have a wide variety of things like that, because we're never all black or white. You're happy and 5 minutes later you're mad and then you're happy again. So I think it's very important when you do a collection to reflect all those aspects in our daily lives. The main thing is to bring pleasure and to make women look beautiful.
I don't forget that I'm 21 years old. I've been working in this business for 7 years, so I learned a lot, but sometimes I don't project myself like someone who knows everything.
The modest Corsican beauty does know her way around the internet, films, politics, and music videos. Things are happening for this modern-day Bardot, and it's no surprise to those who know her.
Laetitia Casta is one of the Victoria's Secret models that we always use. She is a huge star in the south of France. She has the Marianne Award, that is a award of liberty that's given to Catherine Deneuve in the past and other such women, and so she's very recognizable.
When I came in the fashion business, the girl was very tall, very thin, and I was small because I have some shoes today because, you know, I was kind of fat. Not fat, but, you know, look like a girl, a woman. A lot of designer and people, they said I was too big and I will come like a cow. The women on the street, they are like me, and the fashion is for everybody. I am the way that I am. If you don't like it, forget about it.
We followed Laetitia to her naming ceremony as the symbol of France, at which she gave a speech honoring accomplished French women.
I was very honored, yes, because it's the first time that they take someone young, like 21. They asked me to come and express myself.
We need a big equality between men and women, and also we have also this idea about to be beautiful but stupid. We could be really important in the artistic world and also in the politics.
Laetitia, that looks nice, and if when you're looking off to your left.
I've been shooting Laetitia Casta for 4 or 5 years, since the first year she started modeling. She's an extraordinarily beautiful young woman who knows very much how to give it to the camera. She's at a point in her career where she's done some transition into acting.
It was very hard because the people have always a préjugé, like a déjà vu. They saw an image of me and they think she's cute, but maybe she doesn't know how to play.
Laetitia played her first starring role in the French miniseries The Blue Bicycle, which she recently screened.
It was a big decision because for 4 months I stopped to do pictures and campaigns and stuff like that. And I was happy, honestly. But people around me were scared because they're like, you know what you're doing right now? If it doesn't work, what's gonna happen to you? I'm like, I don't care, I take the risk.
Casta has also gone high-tech.
I think it's great, it's the future, you know? Everything on internet and a lot of people looking at internet.
What would a day in Paris be without a little shopping? Laetitia gets a head start on impending cooler weather by zipping into a new pair of boots.
Voila! The French look. In life, you always can go more far and get more and more, but I don't want to get even more. It's like to have a beautiful flowers and you want the other one even more beautiful. I want to stay very simple and continue. Honestly, my most beautiful thing that can happen to me, to have a baby, honestly.